is the reason. First thing what we have done is, okay, let me explain once again. We are taking simple mathutl.js file where I'm going to write a piece of JavaScript methods. My expectation is I want to implement the test code, implement the test cases along with the code coverage. I am depending on the just guy in order to implement the test cases. If you see, I'm just using yes or no.
Yes, sir.
That is the reason to test this component, I am depending upon the default React given library, which is like testing. If you see, I have not imported the describe. I have not imported the test. I have not imported this expect method, but I have imported this render method and screen method. Why so? Those are being given from a library, which I don't know. That is, I mean, just doesn't know that. That is the reason I'm using these two methods, where render is the method which helps me in rendering the component, then I do the testing. Screen is the method which helps me to give the reference of the thing which got rendered onto the page and use the screen object to check whether that is there or not, whether it is not rendered or not, also. That is the reason I'm depending upon this React library. Percentage mandatory to implement in any of the code what you're writing. That is how you're protecting your code so that no one will do any type of changes without writing the corresponding test cases.
So from the front end side, just this is only the way we do testing, sir, or is there any other thing?
From the front end side, this is the only thing. From the front end, the other option is also there. Maximum QE guys will do. But yeah, sometimes we also will perform on it. Right now, what we are doing is when I say NPM run test, the test cases or the code coverage is going to run, right? Two things are happening, which is your test cases and the test scenarios at the same time your code coverage. But when you go to the BDDs, okay, business driven development. Sorry, yeah, it is business driven development only, right?
Yeah,
So when
business.
you go with the BDD type of development or Selenium and all, right? So that is where you'll be doing a automation testing, where without human intervention, it is going to open a web page. It is going to check whether all the things are working or not. Right? So when you are running these test cases, right? This is individually going with being provided even in jest also. Not only of that, you can actually mock the data accordingly. It will go. Yeah. Any other questions?
For front end also we use logs, sir.
For front end logging, you have a lot of different ways. Right now, we have something called as console.log. When you go with the back end, there is something called as obviously when you do log4j and all, right, or we have something called as
Self-hosted.
dynatrace logging, and where you're going to monitor the logs.
SLF project through Grafana. I mean,
Grafana is one way. Grafana is a graphical thing. Other thing like
Granalysis.
no, no, it is a popular tool.
ELKS we are using it.
No, no, there is a popular tool to
CloudWatch.
monitor the. Sorry,
CloudWatch. AWS.
cloud is what CloudWatch is different. I'm not getting
No,
that
sir.
word.
I mean,
Where you're going to run the queries, right? Where you can put your query and you can find out the
Splunk?
logs.
Splunk, you said?
Splunk, exactly, Splunk.
Splunk.
So Splunk is a dashboard. Obviously, right in the background, what happens is whenever you know, right? You do. And people will say we'll go with Dynatrace, we'll go with different logging mechanism. In the background, if it is Java, just a log4j it is. It will take that object and it will just write it into file, and the Splunk is going to pull that file, and on the top you can put your own queries and you can monitor what is actually happened, so and so. Client side also, by default, there is nothing being there. By default, there is no way you can do the logging because the restriction what you have in your client side, client is browser, right? From the browser, you cannot do the file operations, or JavaScript, you cannot do the browser file operations. That is the main
only
restriction you can't
option.
do. Sorry.
Only option is console.log, sir.
only option is console.log, but there is an option through Dynatrace. Dynatrace is an external library. Again, not Dynatrace in the background, what he will do, he's just giving a component for us. You call that component, he will get an API call. Whenever you do, instead of console log, if you have to maintain a log in your database, what you have to do, just put an API call, pass this data to the server will write into the file, and that will be maintained. So that can be done through Dynatrace. But other tools are also there, but Dynatrace is popular for both client side and server side logging. Any other questions regarding these test cases? Okay. Now, let me revert this file, guys. I don't want to make it so complex. Let us make it as a very simple, this guy. Okay, this is what we wanted. I would like to generate the test cases for this, and we have to execute. We haven't executed it. So I say generate test cases using just for below. Okay, so it is going to check that whether header is being executed, this guy is executed. So like this, it is going to say for us, I say copy, come back, and where is your test cases? I'm pasting this. All good here, everyone. You see, the screen and render are coming, and this is not from sample. This should be sample. Okay. Now let us come back and execute this guy. Sorry, I think there are some chat questions also. Okay. Now I say npm run test. When I run this npm run test, what it is saying was test environment JSTM cannot found. Make sure this is configured option under an existing module. Just config. Why this guy is coming? Okay, npm install just hyphen. But here we already configured the files, right? Where is that? Where I'm running from? I'm running from just only. We have the babel config.js, just config.js, and just the setup.js. Okay. npm run test. Existing node module. Test environment.
It's having image and everything, sir.
Sorry, ma'am. Family. So this guy should work. Yeah. Okay, npm install that we are doing it. Okay. Let us say npm run test. Two are failing. Why so? Where it is? Obviously, you see here internally it is using Babel parse environment also, right? So obviously this also has to be installed. npm install parse environment. Press preset environment.
Well, can you write in the running notes like whatever happened just before discussion?
Sure. I will list it down. What all the like if we'll take a simple .js file, what are the steps to install? Steps to run this, and if it is JSX, what to be done? I'm going to write it.
Yes. Thank you, sir.
Sure. Just remind me if I miss it, but I'm going to do. So if you see here, test suite 2 failed again. Why the reason? There is something called as Babel preset React also has to be installed now. And those are coming from here only, guys. If you see under your Babel config, you mentioned this. Obviously, when you want this guy, you have to install, right? You would have installed it by default, but yeah, have to install this. So this got installed. Now let us say npm run test. So now if you see one is failing and one is passing, what is that? Import React. Cannot find module. Obviously, are we using this React module here? Uh, React we are not using, right? Obviously, for this render, we needed this. No, this we already installed, right? What it is saying cannot find module. This we already did that. Okay. One is getting fault. React is not defined in export default sample. Okay. When you go to sample.js6, expected container. What is this? So what it is saying is sample component renders all the elements inside a div. Okay. Ignore dot sample component renders image with correct src and SR. Here are the accessible rules. Okay, for now, let's ignore this image because we are not giving right image path. Let's generate the test cases for this again without image. Just from just Okay, now if you see here, two are being passed. At the same time, if I have to say hyphen coverage, you see here 100 percentage the it is been covered. Okay, and if you have to see the report, you can go to your coverage under this report under the index.html. You see, this is how it is. Now under your JSX code, under your sample X code. But why this guy is only saying 57 percentage? Okay, we have not written for the math values, right? Yeah. We see here, this is how simple you could able to access. I mean, it will be so clear for you with the dashboard what it is creating, where you can see that what file, what error, and what file is 100 percentage, what when or API response has to be taken, that will be mocked. You cannot do that because like you are when you say test coverage or code coverage, that's all like you're checking whether your piece of code is being written fine or not, or it is executing for all the inputs or not. Like earlier, when you say uh, when you say math_util.test, right? Here, human is the one who has to pass the parameters, but here we are mocking it. 1,5 are mock data or hard coded data. So we cannot take the values dynamically for this. It has to be mocked for sure in the test cases. Any other questions?
In generally for the this code coverage, we have other tools also is there, right, sir? Sonar Cube or those kind of tools.
SonarQube is not for the code coverage. SonarQube is for the vulnerability testing. Whether the piece of code what you've written is having any vulnerable things on it.
Yeah.
So that
How
is not
it
for
will,
code coverage.
so that also will be integrated during development only or at the time of deployment.
That will not be part of your development code. That will not be part of your project. But that will be part of the what do you say deployment process or build process. At that build, they will be including that SonarQube part. It will read the source code and it will see whether we have any vulnerable code or not.
Okay.
Am I clear? So that is not, it is not like as a developer, you are going to add anything there. It will be done at the time of deployment. Sorry, at the time of Jenkins or DevOps team, right? They will be linking that guy. Just give me a minute, please. Hello. Yeah, sorry guys. Okay, so clear. It will be done as part of like DevOps exercise. They are going to link that SonarQube, SAS testing, DAST testing, pen testing. Those will be done at the time of uh, configuring your project to your Git or your Jenkins.
Sure.
Sir,
Okay,
actually, this,
go ahead.
testing purpose, you have created separate the folder, right? So when we do
Testing. No.
this,
When you write in real time, right? I have created a testing separate folder just for just as a folder so that like you guys will be having a reference. But in general, test files will be part of your source code. For example, you don't put all the test cases into a separate file. You have to put the test files along with your actual file. Like, for example,
then where we will include this coverage folder, sir?
where we include the coverage that is on the parent folder.
Okay.
Now, when you say app client, right? Say SRC, I say components, I say common. If I have to write the test cases for this, for sure it has to be custom hook.test.ts should be on the same folder. Because if you see when you're running the npm test, we are never saying that what files to be tested. It is automatically picking up the corresponding .test files and it automatically picks up the same file name which is in the same folder. You can't differentiate. We can't keep all the test files into separate. But this Babel, for example, the Babel config or your just config and all, those has to be from your parent folder, from where you're going to run your npm run test. Okay, package.json is there. No folder. It is directly been into the same structure.
We
You
have
know,
to
right? I mean,
manually add them.
manually we have to add them. But yeah, when you create npm create React app, right? At the time, it will even ask for you, like, do you want to create a just configuration also by default? You can still do that. Okay, so I'll pause it for today, guys. We'll meet again back on tomorrow. So do the enough work on this. Create your own examples. Tomorrow we'll see like how you could able to inject our and again I will give you the complete steps for this, what all we have done.